Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first Idea Jam for the 2025-2026 season. Welcome to our September Idea Jam. My name is Stan Baines, and I am your chair for this evening and committee member for the Canadian Network for Imagination and Creativity, or CNIC for short. My fellow friends in creativity and members of CNIC that are with us this evening and scattered about on your Zoom screen. So if you could, committee, could you give us a wave so everybody knows who you are? There we go. As always, it is a great pleasure and honor to be back in this hour-long gathering place in our video conferencing environment to share with you our different topics, different discussions, and different ideas from our hosts and guests, and then to open the discussions that flow with you afterwards. We've been looking forward to this all summer, and we look forward to this each month that we get to do this and to the in-depth conversations that we can have, which encourage and spark our creativity. Our goal here at Scenic is to see creativity and imagination from the different angles we see life from, recognize the different backgrounds we come from, and to create and foster open, forward thinking dialogue. We are always looking to find new ideas, different perspectives, and to ask questions to help us explore our inner innovation and imagination. It is our hope that through our discussions that we have at each event, that we can expand our minds in new directions, collaborate through idea sharing, create partnerships in our differences, in our sameness, and in our beliefs, and then carry those forward out into the worlds and where our spheres of influence may be. We want to find and foster our inner and outer creativity through the exploration of our imaginations and ideas, and do this together with each other in our learning space. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that as a resident of Clarence Rockland, Ontario, which sits just outside of the east end of the city of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, that I'm chairing our meeting on traditional unceded land of the Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. I'm thankful this opportunity to be able to do so this evening, and we recognize that our history is not what defines us, it's our journey forward that connects us. Healing begins where togetherness starts. Our Idea Jams is our space to learn, explore, and share. As part of that, we want you to reflect and participate in the way that you are most comfortable with and make this idea space your own. We want to hear your ideas through conversation. This is a place where talking your ideas out is what it's all about. Your thoughts, your visions, and your ideas help keep our space moving forward, so this is your time to shine. Our format here is very simple. Once our hosts guide our discussions for the evening, we will open the floor to you for discussions and chats and see where our journey will lead us during our time together. Nothing is a bad idea. Every discussion point helps move the idea along. Please take this opportunity to explore and share, as your insights may be the spark that lights someone's creativity fire. Zoom obviously is our choice of platform for this discussion, so Zoom allows you to participate in many different ways. It has built-in controls that allow you to raise your hand so we can see you when you wish to join in the conversation. You can obviously add things into our chat function, which helps keeps the idea flowing, and you can add your emotions through the little emoticons reactions as well. Share your ideas your way and join in our jam. Finally, now for tonight, we are going to be led by Michael Wilson. The topic for tonight will be the miracle of the sock project. So we might be talking about Michael's sock drawer, but we'll see where we go. So thank you for waiting. Let's join in the jam, and I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Thank you very much, Stan. Thank you. And good evening, everyone. So, listen, let's take a moment now to pull up your favorite big, fluffy pillow and get yourself into a completely relaxed stage of total bliss. Have in your hand your favorite drink, if you like. Have marshmallows by the side or whatever favorite snack you like to indulge in, especially when you feel guilty about doing so. Turn the lights down low if that's what you would like to do, and have some soft music in the background. Because I have a story to tell you. And what a story it is. It's a story of a young lady that faced some life challenges, and through her efforts to cope with those and conquer those life challenges, came across some incredibly brilliant ideas that forever changed her life and all those who came in contact with her. Oh, wait, why should I tell you the story? That lady is here with us right now, tonight. And so it's an enormous pleasure for me to introduce you to the amazing the ebullient and elegant Jessica Baird. Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Michael. This is really cool to be speaking with you guys tonight, and also just being present in community with what seems to be a really cool community of people. And so my story began, well, I mean, my story technically began in 1988, but my sock story began about 7 years ago, almost 8 now, in 2017 when I was teaching school. And I was starting to have some really unusual medical stuff going on, physical symptoms, that I decided to take a step back from teaching and seek out a diagnosis with medical professionals. That took about an entire year to get diagnosed, which by the end of 2017 was diagnosed as the autoimmune disease ankylosing spondylitis. Don't try to say that. Don't try to learn how to spell it. It took me far too long. The acronym would be the easier thing to remember, AS. There is a difference between AS and ALS. AS is an inflammatory, the condition that I have is an inflammatory arthritis of the SI joints and spine. So it's very different than ALS. So in this time when I was seeking out this diagnosis and left teaching, people asked how they could help, and I said, send me fun, silly socks to emotionally get me through to wear to all my medical appointments. And then I also put out a video on YouTube as a joke to be like, send me socks. And before long, I had thousands and thousands of socks coming to me. And I thought, okay, this is nuts. So I see that, Fred, you have 2 sock drawers. I probably had about 50 by the time I was only about halfway through the first round of donation. Yes, I do win. Yeah, so because I was receiving so many socks, I wasn't quite sure what I was gonna do, and so I was joined on to many different social media groups of people dealing with medical issues. So I started reaching out to people on those groups and being like, hey, do you want a pair of socks? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, that's super random. And, then I would explain to them, well, I'm going through medical stuff, and people asked how they could help, and they've sent me socks. So then I began, and maybe I might be able to shoot. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what I just did there. I was hoping I might have been able to share a photo, but that didn't work. So in this time where I was distributing socks, I also began writing notes of encouragement to people when I would ship out the socks to them. So essentially, it turned into a pay it forward, a community of we are with you. I'm with you. You're not alone through this. Because as I was saying, it took an entire year for me. On average, for people with ankylosing spondylitis, it is a male dominant condition. It takes the average man 8 years to be diagnosed. It takes the average woman 10 years to be diagnosed. That is if you get the appropriate doctors who can help you and know what they are doing. The Canadian medical system can be quite slow at times. And so with these experiences, when people would receive the socks, it turned into a very beautiful piece of, I feel like I am with somebody. I feel like someone is listening to me, caring for me. And so with that became the mandate of my sock project now of humanity matters, no one is left behind. And Stan started this discussion out tonight about how when we are together, we are healing each other. I'm sorry, Stan, I didn't quite catch the whole part of it, but it was something around that. And so that is a piece of this. People will say to me, what's the difference between healing and cure? It's the same thing. And it's like, no, it's not. Healing is community coming together, supporting each other. Cure is the scientific piece that is healed of the illness. Autoimmune diseases are never healed. It's a chronic, lifelong condition that is treated with with immunosuppressants such as methotrexate, which is a chemo drug, prednisone, steroids, biologics, which is what I take every 10 days. It's an injection into the leg to slow the immune system down from attacking itself. And that is what in turn causes people to have so much pain. When I started these medications 2 days after, I was like, wow, that is magical. I don't know what has just happened, but I'm not having quite so much pain. The only problem with the treatment that I am taking is that there's not really a lot of coverage for biologics. It's a very costly type treatment. It costs the government $10,000 a month to be able to treat me. So in these challenges, you can see how when a pair of socks and a note of encouragement arrives to someone's mailbox that was once somebody else's, how that can be very uplifting. I have received wonderful emails back from people just in terms of how they felt. And I have one that I will never forget, and how a woman had contacted me immediately receiving them in her mailbox, and how she said she had a sensation of goosebumps and strength through her body when she saw the envelope. Because I try to take photos of the envelopes now when I send them to people, because there's been so many problems with Canada Post over the years. And unfortunately, that's gotten worse. So there has been my hiccups with that, but it is a very beautiful piece. So what happens when people often receive the socks is they will donate to the cause. Or I also do other side fundraisings, as Jessica has also pointed out that she purchased some fun t-shirts. But what happens is the money comes in because people are really happy about this and I've paid it forward. I continue to pay it forward. And so the funds that I receive go into autoimmune research because the conditions are not very well known. So over the last 7 years, thousands and thousands of dollars have gone into various medical research programs across the globe. In fact, I have shipped socks everywhere around the world, which is insane when I think about that. To know that, again, humanity matters, no one is left behind, and we are all in this together, healing together, coming together in community, holding each other up. They say, walk a mile in my footsteps, walk a mile in my sock. Ask me a question. How are you today? I go into schools and I run these workshops. And I also have a children's book called The Socks that was written by my friend Kellyanne Charlson based on the Sock Project. And so after we share that story and I talk about the Sock Project, children and participants, which I have done with the BEd students, Michael Wilson kind of got this moving for me. And when I go in, they're given white socks and fabric markers. Who are you? What do you believe and why? And they create on their socks their story. Then we come back together and we share. And it is absolutely remarkable what a pair of socks in the mail can have somebody talking about, what a pair of socks with fabric markers and somebody sharing their story can do to bring people together. I've also worked with some companies in COVID times, and I created a various socks. These ones are ankylosing spondylitis socks with the ankylosaurus. AS is also known as the dinosaur disease. So using these creative pieces to design on socks has also been very remarkable. The Imagine Dragons singers, Dan Reynolds, who's the lead singer, and his brother Mac Reynolds also have ankylosing spondylitis. There is a few other famous people out there in our world that have ankylosing spondylitis, as well as others with other autoimmune diseases. Selena Gomez has lupus, that is one of them. There's currently 88 autoimmune diseases listed. There could be many, many, many more. When I hear from people sometimes after I've spoken on CTV or the news, people will write to me telling me their story, and I'm like, I have not heard about that. And so I'll go and I'll Google it, and there might be like one line on Google, and it's like just another piece of, we need more funding in medical research. We need more funding in our Canadian medical care. People need funding to be able to afford treatment. We should not be having to set up GoFundMe pages to pay for people's medical journeys. And so again, as we journey together and we put the socks on our feet and the people come together, I've really seen magical, miraculous things happening. So, is anybody have anything that they would like to share about their journey, or any questions about the sock project that maybe I have missed, or any thoughts or suggestions? I will share my website in the chat right now so that I don't forget, so that you can learn more about it in the weeks ahead. There you go.
So I'd like to open with a question if you're at that stage, Jessica.
Sure.
And that is, I've heard you talk about this many times because, as you alluded, you've come to teach my teacher education students. But it's just struck me now that when you said that you were amazed at the reactions that many people expressed to you when they received a pair of socks from you. It seems to me there's a book in here about this for you, about recording all of the various reactions you got from various people about how they reacted to this. Obviously not attributed to any of the speakers without their permission, but it's just that you've got a treasure trove of wonderful collections of people expressing gratitude to you and a kind of recognition that they're in this together with you. It's an incredible gesture of human kindness that you've engendered, not only by what you're doing, but what you're causing all these other people to do. Because you mentioned that some people then turn around, what a wonderful idea. I'm going to give a pair of socks or something else to someone else who needs the kind of comforting you've said you've received from all these people. So it seems to me that there's a book in here that you've just written, part of a children's book you just talked about. But have you thought about writing a book about all the various reactions and comments that people have said to you over the years?
So I have, Michael, I keep a blog mostly on social media about my experiences with, of course, keeping things in confidence, but just expressing the experiences that I've had with people. I mean, I think it would be really cool to have a published piece on that. I mean, there was back in, I think, the 90s, a movie called Pay It Forward about, a child who took his own life I don't know the whole basis of the story, but I think it's about a child who takes on his life and pays it forward because someone had helped him. And I think in my opinion, in the society that we are in, these are the messages that people really need to hear about: acts of kindness, appreciating people, helping people, kindness, lifting other people up. And so if there was a way of getting those stories published, Michael, I think I should do it.
Okay.
So
Right. Some other questions or comments, I know.
oh yeah, I see Fred and then Steve. So go ahead, Fred.
Well, Jess, what really, I guess, triggered me was one of the comments of your classroom students asking and sort of peripherally being involved in the project. And our family has just started sending birthday books to one another based on an AI that specializes in you input the characters, a little bit about them, and then it'll give you a series of titles. And you pick a title or two, and then it'll give you chapters of them and a little synopsis of each chapter. And then you pick the one you want, and for $60, it'll produce a 250-page book. And I just saw my first copy of it from my daughter, who has an autoimmune disease, and all the joy that they had in creating these for one another. And I was taking that, thinking about how laughter is such a good thing. And of course, just last week, I saw Robin Williams ad-libbing on sock puppets. And I thought, wow, could we do something with sock puppets? And then we could start to involve, like the artists, creating sock puppets. And so, like artist trading cards. And on one side is the picture of the sock puppet, on the other side is a profile. And then get the storytellers. Dean could be in on this, and get the storytellers to start to um, produce some plot lines. And then I even pictured those that can, like in a hospital setting, each
Mhm.
patient could be picking their avatar, their trading card that they liked, and then they start to write a story together, and one that brings that laughter and joy into it, and while also teaching the message. And I thought how response that you have when you were being encouraged.
Mhm.
This is something that takes their concentration away from their pain or their suffering to
Mhm.
doing something meaningful and fun, and notice that they're helping others. And
Mhm.
so I just sort of was thinking of other next steps, and seeing how we could be a wider community and start to contribute in different ways, and people can build on that as they want.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really, really great. Also, thank you for sharing about your daughter too.
Steve, go ahead.
Jess, as everyone, we're very touched by your story. Thank you for sharing it. One quick question. Can we
Yep.
buy the book locally in Ottawa or?
Yes, you can. Yes. So my girlfriend Kelly, that did this book with me, she lives in Alta Vista. If you would like to get the book,
Yes.
send me an email. I'll
Yep.
put my email down in the chat. And I'll get it to you. I'll meet
That's
you somewhere,
great.
however.
And I'll buy the coffee.
Perfect.
Question number two, not an expensive Starbucks coffee. We should support local. Question number two, when speaking to children, I volunteer in various schools. What is the age that you think would have the most impact?
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for asking that. I did not say that. Every single age. I have done this workshop with kindergartners right up to Michael Wilson's B.Ed class. And then back in April of this year, I got invited into a seniors home and I did it with a group of seniors. It was phenomenal. So kindergarten to seniors.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Brett.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm coming more from the performing arts side. I work with projects and I work with workshops with kids and so on and so forth. So I come from everything is a project to me. So it seems like, you were teaching and this happened in your life and all these moments came together for you that created a spontaneous, creative, pass it along, as you said, because you were able
Bingo.
to hook into, yes. And what I see is all the elements for something what I would call like a global creation, a community creation, because to create something, you need a safe space. And by you creating your circumstance, unveiling your circumstance, other people who share that can open up. And then it all of a sudden the barriers come down, and then a sock project is great, and it passes on. And because how do you say the whole message with AS is it brings the honesty level right down to the ground.
Mhm.
And and we're here face to face together. So with that being said, and coming out with such a positive, everybody coming together type of message, it creates, like when you talked about the socks and people writing on them and the kids and giving, it was just like a workshop. You're creating a
Mhm.
conch. I call it, as the Lord of the Flies, everybody's holding the conch and they get to speak. And you gave them these little moments of showing themselves with their own imagination and their own creativity on their socks to unveil themselves because you did it too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I think that is the beauty of what is happening with what you're doing right now. And you have other people that want to hook into it and you want to get the message out there. So now's the time to try and put it into different ideas and platforms. And there's lots of imagination and creativity out there. I mean, lots of ideas, sock puppets, storytelling, and again, it's bringing the story real. And the imagination is going to happen amongst all the people that share it with you. I'm quite sure. My own personal idea would be to, if it's a pair of socks, you give one sock to one person in the group, and then they have to find their match.
Mhm. Hmm. Wow.
Just a simple
Cool.
exercise,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
you could take the words that one person wrote on one sock and one person wrote on the other sock, and there will be a difference,
Mhm. Mhm.
but they're sharing the same pair of socks. So just with a simple idea, like I didn't think about the metaphor of pairing socks together to show them that they're both human but different. But because I say one sock to another and meet to pair, I just came up with the idea that maybe the pair will show that they're human together. So, anyways, I think you have a beautiful situation happening to you in your life. It's been about 10 years now.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be 8 years. At Christmas Eve was my diagnosis day.
Okay. And you're still teaching.
I am. Yes, I am. I teach at
Oh,
Turnbull School on Fisher
oh,
Avenue in Ottawa, primarily with grade 7 and 8
all
students.
right. Well, I love teachers. I'm still best friends with my high school teacher, 30 years on now. So, uh, fantastic to have you and to hear about your project. Please, keep on doing what you're doing. And if you need any ideas, you know where to find us or
I
me.
love this idea of the matching because it would bring up really interesting conversations with people and really great stories being shared. Like, I think that that is so cool. Like, just doing it at random and being like, you share with this person, find your match. Now you talk to
Find your
that
man.
person.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really awesome. Thank you for the idea.
Okay, great. You're welcome. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. Goran.
Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for sharing this fascinating exploration of creativity and applying it in so many different contexts and really with communities that, often we're trying to connect, but it's not always clear, to us how might we be able to connect and in what way we could connect. So in that sense, it feels to me as if you've really created a wonderful medium to kind of lower these barriers to kind of connection, and as you so beautifully said it, to healing as well. I guess my question is more around your exploration of creativity from this perspective as a kind of a facilitator in diverse communities. And I wonder, what might you have gleaned or sort of learned about the nature of creativity through these various engagements?
That is a fantastic, fantastic question. I have at the top of it all, I have learned that everybody has something to offer in their own creative way, however that looks. Because like for me, I tell my students all the time, or when I go in to do these workshops, I don't know how to draw. And they look at me and they're like, "What do you mean you don't know how to draw? You're running a workshop for..." Well, I use words, I use symbols, I use pictures that are created out of stick figures to express my story. And so when I did this workshop the very first time with Michael's class, Michael and I also sat with the group and created our socks. And then when we all came together, like they were all like, "Oh, can we put them on and like take a picture of it?" And of all of us wearing our socks in a circle with the socks in the middle. And so I said, "See how now you can see that everyone, no matter what you create or how you create or what your creative piece is, my creative piece is thought processing and writing. Like very much, I'm a very much of a reading, writing type person more than I am in terms of being able to actually get the designs out. My brother is a graphic designer, so I was very grateful for him to help me get the photos together and get the images put together. And I would just tell him my thoughts, but in writing. And so just when they all saw the photo together of their socks, they were like, "Oh yeah, it's this beautiful piece of art of us all coming together." And I'm like, "Yes, because we all have our piece of creativity and how we are creative." It doesn't mean that you have to be this beautiful Van Gogh type artist.
That's
I've
amazing. Thank you so much.
also learned on the journey to never assume what somebody else is going through. Um, Always listen to the people, always listen to the people, always listen to the people. Don't ever make assumptions. Like and just something that I've learned, and it's like, oh, I'll go out to Mark and I, that's my partner, we really enjoy going to museums, to the art gallery actually, and we're like, I wonder what that person was thinking, and wishing that you could have a conversation, because often people express their difficult times, their story through abstract art. And it's, listening to the artist would be the beautiful piece of that for me, because you hear the story and it's like, oh wow, okay, so that's your self-expression right there. And so being able to express yourself however you express yourself is okay. And I always want people to know, like, just do it. It doesn't matter if it's a stick person. Just do it, because we all create in our own way.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. This invitation to accept, and recognize our creativity at whatever level it comes, and this beautiful invitation to, listen more and listen better, I think is somehow so cogent for creativity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
While we're waiting for someone else to have a question, I thought I'd just interject for a moment. Jess, you mentioned a bit in your opening prologue that you had considered or contacted a manufacturer, I think in Toronto, to make socks for you as part of this overall project. Can you talk a little bit more about that development?
Yes, so McGregor Socks was at the forefront of this project when it started. Unfortunately, McGregor Socks is no longer existent. They have closed down. So I work with other companies around the world to get my designs on socks. And then they send them to me, and then I sell them to make money to fundraise for the project. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. And do you still do this now? Are you engaged in this at the present time?
Yes, I am engaged in this at the present time. So if people are ever looking for socks, they can check out my Facebook page and my Instagram at the Real Sock Project or the Sock Project. And there's photos of the various socks that are available for purchase. Also, if you have sock designs that you are looking for, I may or may not have them. If I do have them, fantastic. If I do not, I often will go searching a company to help me make that design.
Oh, so apart from anything else, you become an entrepreneur through this whole process.
Precisely. Except I don't make any money on any of this. All of this money just goes straight into research. This is all volunteer time.
So where do you want to go from here? What do you think are your next steps with all of this?
So I do have a couple of pieces. So of course, the long-term goal of the sock project when I started this 7 years ago was one goal that I would say I've just about started hitting on, and that's the whole community building, sharing story, getting advocacy and awareness out there to society about autoimmune diseases. So I feel like I am actually reaching that goal over the past 7 years. Another piece that I am working towards is getting into faculty of medicine programs to bring more awareness to residents and med students about autoimmune diseases in hopes that they will be able to encourage more funding and help me get more funding through the project into research. Also, I am hoping that this is a lifelong commitment that will never die out, and that I will always be sharing story, encouraging people to share story, encouraging people to pay it forward, be kind at the grand front of your life, and remember that you are loved, you are whole. There is people out there prepared to hold you up. Do not stress over small things. Know that you are appreciated and loved.
Wow. I know there are other questions, other comments.
Go ahead, Steve.
Michael, thank you for asking that really pertinent question. But I will ask the question that I had. I wear a green band, and those in Ottawa may know about Rabbi Bulka, who talked about kindness. So, Jess, you told us listen 4 times, and I felt very guilty because somebody told me the other day I wasn't listening. And the gentleman who spoke just before you, who asked the question, Chardik, I think was his name, he said the invitation. So Can you tell us why you said listening 4 times? I know it's important, but I'd like to hear it from your words.
Because, well, I think in my opinion, we are often, and I'm guilty of this too, because I'm a human being, but I believe that um we're just ready to get our opinions out there and just say our things and just say our things and just say our things, and maybe we're not always necessarily listening to other people that while they're speaking. And I knew before um, my experiences with my medical journey that I wasn't a very good listener. And I was just like the one that I was always like, what I have to say is maybe a bit more important than what you're saying. And so that's something that I've also learned on this journey as well. And unfortunately, dealing with medical professionals, I've also experienced. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm feeling not heard because I'm really struggling. And now you're the 10th doctor that I just spoke to, and you're not listening. And so I personally believe that these cause long-term getting a diagnosis that takes a long time often will cause people a bit of trauma because of the lengthy amount of time, and people often don't feel like they're being heard. And so it's really important for us to make sure that we're listening to each other and yeah, just listening to each other. So when you just asked me that, why did I say that? I really did mean we need to make sure that we're listening and we're hearing each other out and know what's being said.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking that. Actually, I am so grateful that you asked that.
Brad, I saw your hand up. Are you still wanting to ask a question?
Uh, yes, I just have a bad connection. I hope you can hear me.
You're fine now.
Oh, okay. Um, uh, so being from the creation world and you make a show and then you redo the show and then you redo the show. And so you have like the same message of this sock project, but you have these other things that you want to do after this, right? And I found that sometimes when I've taken an idea, I haven't let go of the idea. Like you give birth to one child, right? But you're trying to make the second child look like the first child. And then, so it's like you got to change a hat in between your projects, yet they're all about the same thing. And it's a wonderful way of growing creatively, because and I think you have all the opportunity to do that. And I mean, you already criticized yourself about not listening enough even before you talked about listening and how you love listening now. And so that's wonderful. Uh, and so, yeah, I just, it's just sharing the experience, and I'm sure you sound like you're very well surrounded, constructed, and have a nice structure because in these types of projects, there's so much demand on you, and we're emotionally involved because it's part of you, and then you got to sort of draw the line for personal life, of course, and then for
Mhm.
the actual sock project, which is probably a third hat, you
Mhm.
know. So bravo to being a hat collector, and I can't wait to hear more about where you're going.
Thank you.
I have a question. So this
Yeah.
this is a very in-depth venture that you've done. Have you had any pushback? Right? Like, have you, throughout your journey with this, have you had any any pushback from people or anybody who doesn't quite get what's going on? Like, you know how society is now, where everything of best of intentions is going to be met with some level of resistance. So, right, just curious to see what kind of resistance, if you faced any, and then how did you manage to overcome that, or how are you overcoming it?
Absolutely. So I will be very transparent with, I think when you run any project, you work with the public forum in any capacity, you are going to run into hiccups, shall we call them. And I have definitely experienced this, but I have taken it as a learning experience. I have actually developed restorative um, experiences from this type of thing, where people have gotten upset or angry, or they themselves are going through something. Um, and they have taken it out on me because the socks didn't arrive in the mail because Canada Post was on strike, or I didn't have the correct address, or there were people who might have been disappointed because they did not understand, well, why did you donate funds to this organization? Why didn't you send them to this organization? And so I'm really glad that you asked me this question, because I have experienced this. I have put my heart and my soul into this project. Sometimes it feels like a jab in the chest, and it can be upsetting because this was something that I birthed, I born, I created. And so in that, I have also learned you got to take it in stride, but I have also learned that by explaining my side of it, by asking somebody, let's meet for coffee, let's chat about this. Amazing things have come from it. Friendships have developed from it. And so what I have learned is, again, taking the time to connect with people and listening to people and learning more about them and letting me articulate my story, letting them articulate their story, sharing our experiences, restorative practices coming together. Boom, you're back in community and you're great friends. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I get it. I really do. And there can be challenges. And sometimes we don't come up with a resolution, but I've experienced more resolutions and connections with people after challenging experiences than I have like really awful things. And so sometimes I also have to remind myself, okay, well, maybe that's not how that person deals with it, and that's okay. And they're standing their ground, and I accept it and I move on.
Well, that's really good. Thank you. Because it sounds from the heart of the matter that you have a very deep understanding of course, every aspect of what's going on. And yeah, it's that ability to have conflict resolution that still
Mhm.
keeps your creative fire burning and your passion for what you're doing going. That, yeah, I applaud that very much so, because it's always great when things work out and it's fine. It's how do we overcome the mountains that keep getting taller, or the valleys that turn into a puddle of mud at the bottom, right? Like, how do we brush ourselves off and keep on going? So thank you very
And that's great. And yeah, I really am. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was even today, yesterday, unfortunately, my dog had to have surgery. Her ACL um broke and she had to get her whole ACL repaired. But today I saw a pile of like this of socks, and I was like, I really need to go actually do that and maybe explain to people I've got a bunch of stuff going on, but I'm going to go mail them today.
Small victories, right? Small victories,
Yes.
right?
So everybody, on that particular note, I'd like to contribute to closing this evening's inspiring presentation by suggesting, if you think Jessica's inspiring over Zoom, know what it might be like to see her and work with her in person. I've made the mistake of having her be the first teacher of a class that I would teach, and it would be a 3-hour class, and she would have the first half. You can imagine after she's finished with my students how enthusiastic my students were to have me in the second half. And I learned that teaching is a very humbling experience indeed. And finally, the idea jams are not meant to be commentary about matters of deep intimacy. But I have to admit to you all that I am here tonight wearing a pair of Jess's socks. So, on behalf of all of us to you, Jessica, it has been indeed magic for us to be with you here this evening. And I want to, on behalf of everybody, to thank you so much. This is Jessica Baird, everybody. Jessica, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And now,
Thank you so much. And you know what? I need to return that, because when Michael would introduce me, and in fact, I told a news reporter this, because when Michael would introduce me to his class, he would say, "This is Jessica Baird from the Sock Project. Listen up, because it's not about the socks." And so tonight I have to say, everybody, this is Michael Wilson. This is about his socks.
Stan, over to you.
You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Right, what a great way to launch back into our season. Right, and we are so glad. Thank you, Jessica, for that. That was really amazing, and thank you, Michael, for being a part of that. So, and for those of you that are new, this is what you can look forward to each and every month. We've got something different every time. So we do want you to know that Scenic is socially connected. So check out our website at www.canadiannetworkforimagination.and creativity.com. It is one long run like that. We have our idea jams going to be updated very shortly. You can register to be part of them if you want to send that link out to your friends. Find us online to get more information about our idea jams, bios about us, view our past idea jam sessions, and the chats and other helpful information for what's coming up. Our 2024 and 2025 idea jams are now officially online on YouTube. So look for us. If you go into YouTube, look for us under Canadian Network for Imagination and Creativity to see all of our idea jams right at home or on your phone on the go. So check that out. We've been promising that for ages. It is now there. Thank you, Olivia, for getting that done. As we close for the evening, we want to definitely thank you again for joining us. It has been absolutely fantastic to see you all again. And we hope that we've made this past hour really worth it for you. And we look forward to seeing you again. So next month, we'll be back in October on Thursday, October 16th. As a reminder, too, all of our idea jams take place on the third Thursday of every month, unless there's some weird change. But generally, third Thursday, you can expect to be here for that hour. Mark your calendars. On behalf of all of us here at Scenic, thank you for spending your Thursday evening with us, coming back into our fall session. Thank you for sharing your creativity and imagination. Thank you for your questions. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to the new people. And we look forward to seeing you again in October. Have a great evening, everybody, and have a great weekend.